My name is Trisha Duffin. I am the Director of Customer Success at Gavel. Super excited to show you guys around not just our workflows platform, which I will dive into, but also our new Gavel Exec, and then how these two programs can work hand in hand in our Gavel suite of products. And as with all of our webinars, this series, our August series of webinars, we're going to start with a little bit of our background and our ethos of how Gavel products came to be. And unlike a lot of other legal tech that might be out there, our ethos does start and base itself on legal tech isn't about replacing, taking over, doing any of these types of scary things that I think a lot of attorneys fear of AI and legal tech in general. We really focus on providing tools to give you superpowers to really be able to do your job most effectively and consistently, so that hopefully you get more and more clients coming to you and more people get access to the justice they deserve, right? So I think that is definitely important that we try to always start all of our meetings internally. We talk about this as well, but just knowing that our ethos is about helping attorneys get tools that help them be more effective at their job. With that in mind, we'll go ahead and talk about Gavel Exec today. If you haven't had a chance to try Gavel Exec, I recommend trying it. You can start with right now as we're going through. If you go to gavel.io/exec, there's a big purple button there. You can go ahead and try it and download the add-in. It goes into your Microsoft Word, and you can sign up for your account there. That's a really easy free trial to go ahead and explore. That might be really wonderful for you as we're going through this as well. So for today's agenda, we're going to talk at first about the Gavel suite of products, both Gavel Workflows and Gavel Exec. I see a lot of people in here already that I recognize as our legacy workflow users. So you're going to get a sneak peek of our migration to Builder 2 that is headed your way in the next coming weeks. We're super excited about it, so you'll get a little sneak peek of that. Any of our Gavel Exec users who haven't had a chance to use workflows, this is also going to be a great example of what Gavel Workflows as a product does. And then all of our Gavel Workflows that haven't tried Exec, you're going to get to see what Gavel Exec does. This is going to be a great demonstration of both of the products so that you can really get the most out of getting the whole suite and becoming part of our whole Gavel family here. Our workflows demo is going to be focused on a trust for an individual. So our estate planners in the house are going to get a little bit of love here for how you use the workflow to automate a trust. And then we're going to use the exec demo to review the trust and then also utilize it to look up specific clauses and other items that you may want to add post automating it in order to specify for that specific client. So we'll go through exec demo and how projects and playbooks work hand in hand to maintain consistency, but also help add different clauses and make a more robust trust contract agreement post automation. We'll end with a Q&A, and then for those that are here live, you're going to get an exclusive discount at the end. So you'll want to stick around and see that for a discount for Gavel Exec. Okay, to begin, we're going to talk about the differences between Gavel suite of products, Gavel Workflows, which is our flagship, the basic program that we built on Gavel, and Gavel Exec, our AI word add-in that allows you a more robust redlining tool. So Gavel Workflows, for those who do not know, it is our document automation platform. It allows you to build your own interactive forms so that you can have client data push in and create really complex output documents, both Word documents and PDFs. It's an amazing tool that allows you to also use this data in different ways. So if you gather information about your clients, you can use this in other tools afterwards, or you can utilize that to output your documents for either products, if you wanted to put something as a DIY product, or internally as a tool that you'd like to build and automate documents for. Gavel Exec is our senior level AI legal assistant. And the idea is that it will streamline and look through and scan and summarize any of your agreements, your templates, your output documents on Word format. And so it's a Word add-in that will allow you to plug and play the whole document, sections of the documents, and use different rules and instructions to guide the AI to answer the questions that need to be, or to answer the questions, but also assert any clauses or insert any additional information that you may have missed in the automation process. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and stop my share here, and we're going to go to the Builder 2 experience. This Builder 2 experience is, for some people, might be new, so you're getting a sneak peek into the migration. For some of you that are some of our newer Gavel workflow users, this may seem quite familiar. So this is the dashboard for our Gavel Workflows product. It looks quite the same if you're on any kind of, if you're on the legacy builder or builder 2. You have a data manager that houses all the data for you to review. And each of these workflows here are questionnaires that you can fill out to automate the documents. What's nice with our builder 2, we have a kind of new interface here. I want to show this a little bit. I can go ahead and start a new workflow here. And you'll see this new experience for our legacy users with our Builder 2 experience. This allows you to create different questions. You can add questions from our drawer here. It allows you to click on it to add it. You can also drag and drop as well. So if I wanted to actually grab it and move that, I can move that. Some of our legacy users, this is a really nice feature. It's not just add on the bottom. You'll also see the scroll down so that the question stays with you and the save button stays with you, which I know is a big ask from our legacy users. You have a lot of ways to add new pages, sections, etc. onto your workflow. It has the document templates like normal, but instead of invisible logic, it has calculations. This allows you to create the multiple sets of formulas. You can also add logic to all of your questions. And this is new for our legacy users. You can add multiple conditions to your logic on any questions or pages. So our Builder 2 feel is definitely more robust for our Gavel workflow users. I'm super excited for this to be live to all of our legacy users coming up in the next couple weeks. In this instance, for this demo, I have created a estate planning package for individual California. We can look at the back end of this for any of our workflow users that are interested. And you can see how robust you're able to make these workflows with different sections that are here, as well as the different questions that are added. And you can see in this version the calculations that we've added in order to create different formulas here. When you're running a Gavel workflow, the idea is if I go ahead and click run on this, I'm going to fill out this form. Now, either I fill this out myself or do I fill out an internal, or myself, or does my client fill this out? So you can see it's a robust tool to create questions and then use these questions to output what you want. In this example, I'm doing a living trust. I do not need a pour over will, and then I don't know my document dates. But if I did know my document dates, I could click yes, and based on logic, those would appear. So if you've not used Gavel workflows at all, and this is your first like real look at Gavel workflows, all of this conditionality, the look and the feel is customizable. So you're really going to be able to make a bespoke set of questions to get to the output documents. Now, this is a very long workflow with lots of pages. So I went ahead and answered everything here. And then we'll jump to the review page that I have set up here. Cool. So this review page is everything that I've answered, put in some, Scooby-Doo references, and added all of this information into a living trust. Gavel workflows, as you are filling everything out, this is your review page that you can edit. Once I hit continue, it's gonna make those output documents. So now we have these output documents. Obviously, you have created these masters, and you have created the questions. There's complex conditional logic to only output certain clauses based on certain things. We have the document here that I can download directly. And then because it is a docx, I'm able to open it with my Gavel Exec platform. And so say I've created this living trust for Shaggy, and I do know that I want to just run it by some things because it's kind of a weird blended family that our Scooby-Doo family has. And so it's a little bit of an outlier case. So what we're going to do is use Gavel Exec to make up some of the changes and differences between what we can automate on a very generic output to customize it for a specific client's needs. So let me go ahead and open the Word add-in, and that way you can see the Gavel Exec in action. So our Gavel Exec is an add-in. If you have used add-ins before, and if you're a Gavel Workflows user, I'm sure you have with our document tagger. That is our Word add-in that allows you to tag your templates with the variables you've created in your workflows. But the Gavel Exec is also an add-in that you can then use to review and summarize and redline and draft new language inside of your already produced output document. So this Shaggy Rogers Living Trust is based out of California. I do have things I didn't have the date, so there's a couple things open here. But what I'm going to use this Gavel Exec for is to run it against different items. Gavel Exec is an AI tool that you get to hone in. You really get to customize toward your specific needs, given whatever you're trying to accomplish. So, a playbook is one of our options. And a playbook allows you to use a set of rules. I kind of think of it as the overall game rules, the big rules that apply to the whole company or the whole firm. In the playbooks, you get free playbooks that are provided by Gavel that were created by attorneys in real estate and in commercial law and in employment law to create these basic playbooks. These can be edited, duplicated, and utilized as well for you personally, but these just come free with the Gavel Exec. You also have an option to create your own. I'm going to show you an example of this employee handbook here, just so you can see all the rules that you can actually add to these things. Once you decide to create a set of playbooks, you have all of these options of rules. If I go ahead and open this one here, I can see the full rule that was created. I can also play against it as well, and you can see here it has over 50 different rules set for this playbook. In this example, I created a small, remember, I'm a director of customer success and not an attorney, but I created a small trust compliance in the state of California to see if I can, match this off the probate code and see if I'm matching into whatever the probate code for the state of California has. I've created each of these rules by adding a rule and then inputting the information inside the rule for the name of the rule and then what the rule says. And I've copied this from the California probate code for the state just to have that data in there for it to rule off of. So say I want to make sure that just in case this, trust document, make sure it is in compliance for California. So I can go ahead and run this playbook, or I could run things individually. So if I know that I'm not going to need to run the trustee powers because that's not their duties for some reason, I can avoid those and just run specific rules, or I can run the full playbook. In this case, I'm going to run the full playbook because we only have 5 rules. So it's a very small playbook. But you'll see that some things will come green. All of them came green this time. So you can see that we have all the options, that the rules are in there to fit whatever that's inside of this. We know that this is compliant. If I decided to remove something, let me see if I can, okay, remove this one because I believe this is the capacity. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this from, oh, go ahead and delete. Oh, it's because I'm in review mode. Hold on, let me go to, okay. If I delete that here and I run this capacity requirement again, it should come up that this rule is not being met because I don't have the language in there. With that, I can scroll down. It's going to give me the reason it failed. It does not contain any of that language, and it will give me proposed changes. So this allows you to then say, okay, maybe for California, there are specific things I need to input here. This document I created is really meant for the Western regions of all the states, but this will allow me to, push in that proposed changes here. And it's going to run a little bit slower because I'm screen sharing. This is always what happens at demos as well. It seems like it's whenever it's in performing in front of people, it's a little shyer. But when we're running it in real time, it does tend to work pretty well. So here we can see the language that it is offering us as a way to add it in there. And then, it's putting it where it thinks it should go. Again, a lot of these ideas, it's really about adding this or not. You can apply the change, or you can say, no, that's not really what fits what I need, and choose not to make that change. In this one, I'm going to go ahead and paste back in what I had there, just so that we have our complete document. I'm going to save that here. And then we can go ahead and run the rule again, and it should run as green and the capacity has been met. That is playbooks. Now, playbooks, like I said, are really good at big picture. It's really good at really understanding, does it comply? Does it fit? Does it maintain the standards and consistency that our firm has set? Our projects are more like the scalpel here. So now we're going to go in and we're going to actually create separate projects that are going to really dig into specific areas. Now, in this example, I may have additional clauses. I know for 99% of my customers, my regular living trust from a Gavel workflow is going to work. It's going to cover their needs. But as we all know, there are outliers, and there are people that fit different familial units, especially if you're talking about estate planning, family law, things like that. But there's also just in that case for any type of law. So what the Gavel Exec can do is kind of clean up that last 5% that the Gavel Workflows doesn't seem to cover. So here, I created a project called Additional Clauses. Our projects are tools where you can add files and you can add instructions. This is where you're creating your own AI tool. What this will do is scan your document within these parameters. So it's not going to be utilizing the full, GPT. It will still have that, but it will still be informed by what you set standards around it for. So your instructions here can be different things we want to add. We want to add a trustee removal replacement clause. You can make this as precise or as, open. If you have it set like this, it's going to kind of use AI to create spendthrift clauses. You can actually put things within quotes and say, if it fits this kind of formula, I want this clause to be included. That could be one of your instructions. So you can make these instructions that fit what you need for this document, and it can scan and infer that you're going to need that spendthrift clause and then offer it as an option for you to accept or reject. These are the instructions that you add. You add as many as you need. You can set as many of these projects as you like. And then the next added thing is, we all do this in attorneys. I was a legal secretary for years, and half of the job was thinking, okay, we had that client who had this situation. Didn't we have that one client 2 years ago that had that similar situation? Well, let's pull up their docs and compare and make sure we're covering, because we've already done it once. We don't want to reinvent the wheel, right? That is where your project files come in. So you can add these files of your previous clients to this project, so that you can say, okay, this is a situation that was happening before. Let's scan off of that. Am I covered in the same way? And so this allows you to create that kind of robustness within the AI, while still giving it parameters, so you're not getting willy-nilly anything that comes through the AI as well. So here we have this project. I know I want to go off of this project for the whole document. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and paste in one of my, so you don't have to watch me tediously type this in. I'm going to paste this review and redline any clauses I may need or have missed from the instructions in this project and in comparison to the attached project files. Once I go ahead and click enter, it's going to jump me to the chat here, and it's going to start utilizing the entire document. You see here it says scope is the entire document, and then the project is my additional clauses. So it's using those parameters to look through, review, and find any red lines that it's going to find for it. Knowing that this is a California piece, I mean, I filled this out initially as Pennsylvania without remembering it was California. Pennsylvania is kind of like my go-to for some reason. So it might give me a lot of California, Pennsylvania, California. So as it's thinking, she's shy, so she's being a little bit slow here, but she is processing it through. I want to also say this scope here that you see entire document selected, you can also highlight just an article here. Yeah, so it's noticing that Pennsylvania. When I tested it earlier, I was like, oh, Trisha, but whatever. So here, the scope, you could actually highlight a section and then run the project off just a section. You can, that way you can really hone in to specific articles that you know this pertains to. As it's going, I'm going to scroll back up so you can see what it kind of put in here. Obviously, we had the California here. This gives you why it thinks it should be, tightening governing law and add venue here. So you have those kind of options. We have a monthly mandatory distribution can be burdensome, aligned to templates quarterly standard while preserving trustee discretion. So this is where it's saying, okay, in here, I know that I did every month as a question that I answered in my workflows because that's what the client needed. But at least quarterly is something that was in my templates. So it's something to just kind of alert you that this is a difference. And you can accept or say, you know what, no, they picked monthly, so I'm going to remove that one. I'm not going to accept that one. So you can go through, add these different incapacity determination per instructions here. So I could go ahead and click on that. It's going to take me to the area here where I have this here. It's going to say, okay, maybe we want to make this more robust, especially in fact that we know that somebody might have a disability within this trust. I can then accept this language just to make it a little bit more robust, to make sure that we're defining everything we need to define according to my instructions and to past tenants. So here, we'll just kind of go through whatever we want to go here. And then you can see that there's different edits it wants to do. Sometimes it can be a little bit like, I'm not sure I want to delete all of that. That's a lot there, but so you can accept things or remove them as you see fit here. Let me go ahead and scroll to the bottom. Okay. Right. It's still kind of thinking through things here. What's nice about this, though, is as you're going through and you decide what you want to accept or reject what you're looking for here, you can also ask it more questions afterwards and have follow-up questions as well. Right now, I think it's kind of paused in this. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new chat. So I can come here. If it's going to let me, I can go ahead and start a new chat. And this will go ahead and give us a clean slate to start from again. But now we have this red line version where I know I wanted this here. This could be sent to someone else to review and accept, or as you're ready for your final review, have your red line versions to be able to say, okay, yes, we want to accept these changes for reals and move forward. What's nice here is I can also do summary. And so I can say summarize this living trust for my client. And so this is inferring within the larger scope of our GPT here that we are able to say, okay, take this full and give me a summary of it. the agent will kind of look through and she'll assess it and give you a breakdown. But there's also a lot of other options that come at the end of this. So you're able to, create slideshow decks. So you'd be able to copy that information and put into a slide. So if you wanted to present that to the client, you have summaries that you can then create to have a checklist of things that are still needed. So if like we have some of these like signing dates or we have certain things that aren't there yet, you can actually create a checklist to give to your paralegal to say, okay, let's go ahead and deep dive into why we don't have that answers. And we can then, respond to those as well. So you'll see here, this gave a pretty robust outline of everything here. But at the end, what I really want to show you is this end here. Okay. Would you like me to? At the very end, there's usually this little section here. This, would you like me to? What's the next step that you want from this? This is a great way to also see all the different use cases you can have and given your specific documents. So within this, do we want to make a client-friendly one-pager to translate this to even simpler language? Or do we want to frequently asked questions about trust that's coming with a different output of this? We could have something to be emailed to them. So there's a lot of things that you can do as you keep going forward. We do have the deep reasoning on this by default, but if you're finding that you are feeling like you're not getting as quick of responses, or you're kind of wanting to just gauge the different types of responses you may have, you can turn this off as well. And it goes down to the, I think it's GPT-4 versus 5. So this will allow you to have that kind of module if you want to have different, GPTs to pull from. And again, our AI, that we are utilizing here, this is the basic chat function, but you do have a lot of control in creating your own versions of the AI when you create projects. So that's really going to be the definer. So for our Gavel workflow users, we know that you're outputting, a ton of documents that are getting you, I would hopefully say 90% or more of the way there. And then you're utilizing your, lawyer skills afterwards to review and analyze and ensure that it is the contract or the agreement that you would like to present to your client. This Gavel Exec tool is going to be a robust help while you are reviewing and scanning, and it also can compile a lot of your projects together so that you have an idea of like, I know what's going to happen in an estate plan that has a blended family, or is of a same-sex marriage divorce, or I have a certain rental agreement that has multi-tenant uses. There's all these different types of things that might be an outlier for your specific legal area that this would help you define and search and summarize and hopefully redline and adapt quicker and faster so that you can see more clients. And that's like kind of the goal, right? So that we can reach more people and still give a robust legal response for our clients. I'm going to stop sharing here and we're going to go back to our slideshow here. I'm going to go ahead and open that up and then we'll share that. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and start with some Q&A. I know that that's been hopping in our chat. There's also we do have a bunch of our Gavel team here. So thank you to our customer success team members that are here and answering. And also Danae, who is our one growth marketing manager here. So she's been answering some of our questions as well. These are some of the big ones that we get a lot about how Gavel Exec stores documents. We don't, it's not stored on Gavel. It doesn't train off of your data. And these are some of our security models. Do you guys have any specific questions that I'm missing out there? Or does anybody from this customer team want to highlight any questions that they want to project to the recording? Is there any other questions that you guys would like to ask while you have me here?
Yes, Tricia, can you hear me?
Yes, Bruce, how can I help you?
Thank you very much. So I would lose my job if client information, certain client data, leaves Microsoft 365, for example. It's more technical than that, but I says here, the first one, does Gavel Exec store my document? I guess that's more storing, and the answer is no, and that's fine. Does it train on your data? No, that's fine, but does it leave? I think the answer, it has to leave Word and goes to some large language model. Is it a fair statement?
Not the document that you are summarizing off of, no. It is utilizing it for as a scanning document, but it's not stored and living within that language model. So there's no like way for it to stick in there if that is what you're concerned.
Yes, it is. But okay, let me ask it a different way. The large language model that y'all are using, Gavel uses,
Mhm.
is a contained, I'm sure there's a more technical word, but it is your language model. It is not the general GPT or whatever language model. So you can state this, that the client data is secure because you own the data model and you control what the data model does, or the LLM does, correct?
Correct.
Okay. All right. So, and just for those of us who work for
Mhm.
big, huge companies, what kind of evidence or documentation do you do you have? And if this is offline, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
For to show the IT people, hey, they have their SOC controls in place, and other type of infosec stuff done. Do you have something that you could give other organizations that to show that everything you've said is actually the case? It's, it's right here, yeah. SOC, HIPAA, all that stuff.
Yeah, it's there. You can see it at the security standpoint there for about our levels of security there. I will say that right now we are in the SOC 2 process for again here individually for Gavel. So that is something that we always keep up and like work through. It's definitely our security is really robust and we take it very seriously, knowing that we represent attorneys with confidential data. I mean, that's been kind of our bread and butter since we've begun. So that's something that we take seriously. I can also provide more in depth. And if your IT team does have specific questions it needs answered, you can always send any type of worksheets they usually have of like what their compliance needs are. And then we can answer those individually as well. Send anything you have questions about to help@gavel.io, and our team will be able to connect you with our security team to answer any of those questions.
Perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. I'm sorry I didn't read that last sentence. So
No,
thank you so much.
we're so good. It's good to say it out loud, right? So like, yeah. And I know that there's a lot of, this is the important thing, right? This is real people's information that are going through these technological services. And so it's good that your team is there to make sure that it's secure.
So can I pivot to, first of all, are there any other questions? I don't want to monopolize. I have a tendency to do that.
I think you're good, Bruce. What you might be
Oh,
asking questions they all.
yeah, I'm going to pivot to another one, machine learning. Okay, so if I have a one-trick pony that which is what I actually want to develop, that that separately is not. I don't believe it would be Gavel Exec. It would be somewhere else that I want to have. After the the 233rd document I've generated, there's enough data there that the machine learning should be able to give me even better um, analysis and support. Working with Gavel Exec, but is that a functionality that either you have in place or that you're considering? So it's specifically for a law firm, for example. Let's just say a law firm. Law firm that does a particular type of dog bites. Okay, so they're going to be the dog bite law firm, and so, but they want that information to be a subset and stored on your servers or working in conjunction with Gavel Exec, but it's not a part of Gavel Exec because we just talked about it. It's not going to be training on the data, but there is database that they want to run data that they want to run analytics on. Is that something that you have available?
That is something we have available. However, right now we are super quickly building upon this. This is like such a snowball of ideas keep coming out from all of our users. And most of the features that you're seeing now have been started by just somebody like you asking like, hey, I foresee this being something that I would like to do in the future. You can also add that to being like, hey, these are some feedback I would have. I could send that along to our founder and CEO, Dorna, who is spearheading some of the growth within the Gavel Exec and our product team. And so any of the feedback ideas that you might have, especially for exec, you can go ahead and send that our way. We can then streamline it to the correct people. If you're ever interested in workflows, we do have a wish list for that. And we are looking to build a wish list for our Gavel Exec as well, but we currently don't have that available. So go ahead and feel free to send any feedback or growth that you would like to see an exec to our team.
Very good. I have met Dorna. She's wonderful. You're lucky to have such a great, great leader.
I am.
And by the way, she's done a great job of assembling a fantastic team. Everybody I've had communications with are really good. So I wish you the best of luck. But this is it's a freebie. I feel that if again you have only so many investment dollars or development dollars and budget and time, but it is something I think that would truly differentiate the first service provider that's able to do that, because she would completely lock in and provide the next step level service value to a law firm that wants to do that. Now, if it's a general service law firm, to me, there's no value for that. But I think you're going to see more and more niche law firms pop up because people don't want to be dealing with the general junk, and they want to, as I said, be one-trick ponies or very, very hyper-focused. Nobody wants to be a pony, but they're going to be hyper-focused legal services.
Well, thank you, Bruce. We have that recorded, so you guys all heard his wonderful words, and we may have to clip it out and talk about how lovely our team is, but we thank you so much for coming and bringing your feedback. I think you're spot on the future of what this product could be. Did anyone have any other questions or anything that you'd like to add? Because I can get to questions, or we can jump to the discount part if we're ready. Cool. All right, so I know we went through over a lot. There's a lot of things that are going on. Our Gavel Workflows, if you haven't got a chance to play with them and build out those forms, I definitely recommend a free trial. There you get a 7-day free trial to explore and build on. Our team is ready to demo it for you as well to make it specific to your needs and your project. But also our Gavel Exec, especially for those of you that are up and coming workflows and adding exec to your suite of Gavel products. Just kind of want to go over some of the Gavel Exec AI, kind of how we can bring that. It says it's your contract negotiations, but you can also use this for any of your practices. I think I left that on for my last workshop, but there is no setup or pre-training. You can just go ahead and get on there. You can start working with Gavel Exec and workflows, really. There's no mandatory sales call. It is really just like go in there, test it out, give us feedback, work with, reach out to the team. That's what we're here for. Obviously the exec is, and I would say our workflows are quite affordable for what you get from the product, less than a billable hour. And you're able to utilize that within, minutes. Obviously our AI has been trained not only by our in-house attorneys that work here at Gavel, but also some of our Gavel friends and power users that have been helping us with the corporate real estate. We've looked at employment laws. We've had a lot of different practice areas, but this is really available to be used in a lot of ways. I really encourage you to think outside the box and think about how you review and analyze documents and see if you can get some really great answers utilizing Gavel Exec. I definitely recommend trying it out.